Hello, Francisco. This is Mr. Thorpe. I wanted to briefly talk to you about your flyer. There's a few things that are working in it, and there's some things that I want you to address. The main thing is looking at this flyer, it doesn't have any, the alignment is just centered right in the middle, which isn't a bad thing. It's just it's you're not using your space to the best of your ability. So there's a lot of open area above the houses and below the phone number. The next big thing is I kind of want you to make sure that you're using proximity. So it's a design principle where we put things together that should be together. So like that would be the address at the bottom. It should be more compact and together. The date and the time should be together. They should be in close proximity. The phone number should be next to the address. Things like that will kind of tie this together and make it feel a little bit more organized. All right, so in Photoshop, I reworked this a little bit. You have a little bit of a transparency thing going on here. Let's see if we can get rid of that. So I reworked it a little bit. So again, what we want to do is we want to create a hierarchy. We want to have we want to understand who this is for, who the ad is for, what is being advertised, and how do we get it. All right, so what I did was, let me open my second document. Oh, that's not it. So let's look at these side by side so we can see what's going on. Alright, so the first thing I did was I added this white border around it, and that's only because we had a lot of open space. So you see, because we didn't have a whole lot going on in the ad, this white border kind of focuses it on the middle area. The next thing I did was I changed Sunset to Sunset Realty, because right now it just says Sunset, and I'm not sure if it's Sunset Open House, if it's Sunset is the name of the residence. I don't know what Sunset is, so I'm assuming that's part of the logo up here of the houses. So Sunset Realty. So by adding Realty in there, it gives me a little bit better idea of what who the owner is and who the ad is being made for. Open House. So Open House, you had it in this very it's in a sans serif font right here. a serif font right here. And instead of doing serif font, I did a sans serif font to make it stand out, feel a little bit bigger on the page. Open House, and then again we're using proximity, so we want to make sure that date is right down there. I wrote out the date so it looks a little bit more balanced. The line looks a little bit balanced. If I just had November 1st or November, it should be 01. I thought it was 20. Sorry about that. So November 1st, 2020. I wrote out November just to balance the lines a little bit. So this line is long line. This line would have been extremely short, so I wrote it out to make it a little bit longer. Added 2020 on there. 6:30 to 8 p.m. We had just a 6:30 start time, but we didn't know when it finished, so we want to add in an end time for that. Again, that helps balance the line, but it also gives a little bit more information. We want to make sure that we're getting all the information that we need to across to the consumer. So the next thing, we had our address down here. So 500 Biscayne. You had 500 Biscayne all on one line. We can break it up and use the space a little bit better. And then we have that phone number a little bit larger. If the phone number isn't that important, you can make it smaller. But I'm assuming as people drive up to the place, they might need a call. They might need to schedule something ahead of time. Can we have a private showing maybe before 6:30? So that number is pretty important. The last thing that we're missing on here is a web address. Web address would be very important for other sales. So although it's for this open house, Sunset Realty might want to make sure their name is getting out there for other properties that are similar. So we might put down here right underneath here, or along the bottom here, we might say www.sunsetrealty.com, and I made that extremely small. and that's probably going to be in avoid, fix my spelling errors. It's probably going to be a and even though you probably wouldn't have a web address with caps, you still want to capitalize it using camel case so that people know what it is, even though it doesn't matter if they write it in like that or not. So we probably want to go back to our Sunset Realty color, that red color. Oops, it's a little bit too dark. Maybe in white along the bottom to kind of make it jump out. I think black would be too dark as well. Black works. I think I'm going to keep it in black, just to keep it so that it's not too big, but it doesn't stand out. It doesn't compete with the information in the beginning, but it kind of draws us back into this area up at the top here. So Sunset Realty. White also look good. I might go with white. It feels a little bit large, so I'm going to reduce it. 24 point feels a little bit better. Sunset Realty, and again centering it on the page. So I did this in Photoshop, but you definitely would want to do this in InDesign or Illustrator, because it's more of a layout program. Again, we're using our space a lot better. Before we had an open space at the top and at the bottom and along the sides. Now it's a lot more compact. The space is being used. We have a natural progression, a little bit of an extra space between the logo headline and the open house. Remember, when you create an ad, the center is not necessarily the center of the ad. The center is up and to the right. So my visual center is a little bit offset, and it's about right here. Even though, so it kind of falls in between Sunset Realty and open house. And then the rest of this can flow down the middle, which is fine. So I think you just need to address a few things. Your hierarchy, you need to use your space a little bit better. And again, make sure that you're giving the information that the client needs. All right. I hope this was helpful.